If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know I have cars on pretty much every week in a Survivor series, getting older cars, a lot of them Porsches, and talking about how significant they were. And I get them from Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver. I'll put the link down below if you're interested. So when the owner of Core Motor Cars called me up and said, Zach, I want you to come and drive a 997.2. I think you need to tell a story about this car. I'm like, why? It's a 2012 911 base model car. What's so significant about it? He says you have no idea what's going on out there in the marketplace. The prices of these cars, if they have a manual transmission, are going up from 10 to 20% over the last year. So what is going on? Well, I'm going to tell you. So the car you're looking at here is a limited edition model. It's a transition model. So 2012, the 991 had come out, but only S's and 4S's, and they continued to make the older 997 in conjunction. So this is a transition year, and this is a Black Edition. Only 1,911 of these were made worldwide. So it's a base model car with a 3.6 liter manual transmission, rear wheel drive, but it's got some very nice add-ons to it. So I'll get in, I'll tell you all about this particular car and what's going on out there with 997.2s. Why are they going up in value? Well, welcome to the inside of this 997.2. As I mentioned, this is a limited edition car. It's called the Black Edition. You guessed it, the car is black. It's covered in beautiful basalt black, which is black metallic, and it's got this beautiful undertone. The camera's not going to pick it up, but a striking looking color, especially if you like black. In addition to that, this car comes with the turbo wheels. It also comes with black insert here in the center of the console. With this model, you could choose either the sport seats, which this car has, and that's the right choice, or ventilated seats. The Black Edition also got the Bose stereo, but this was a commemorative car ushering out the end of the 997 with a base model 3.6 liter and a manual transmission, a stripped down car. They did this later with the 991. They called it the 911T. That's even more stripped down and a desirable car as well. So on the outside, looks like a 997, has the beautiful black finish on it. This car actually is ceramic coated, which is nice, especially if you have a black car. So let's put it in gear, go for a drive, and I'll tell you what's going on out there in the market. So if you're not a Porsche file, as they're called, and you don't know what a 997 is or a 997.2, don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it to you. So each version of the 911 had kind of like a chassis number or a model designation for the time they built the car. And typically 911s are built for about 7 years. So there's been the 964, the 993, the 996, the 997, the 991. The current car that just came out last year is called the 992. Doesn't matter. All I can tell you is this is the car that is going up in value if it has a manual transmission, because people really feel that this is the right size 911. So what happened with the 997? It came out and it had an engine that was prone to failure. You had a big bearing in the back of the engine that would let loose and the engine could basically grenade. So those are not sought after, of course. In addition, the cylinders could score. There were some technical issues with that engine. So that's the original 996 and 997. And then in 2009, they brought out this car. That's why it's called the 997.2. So the second iteration of this chassis. Now, they made technical changes to the engine. The most important was adding direct injection. So the problems that they had with those 996 engines and the original 997 engines were resolved. These now are much more reliable and much more sought after. With the direct injection, they make the cars more drivable. They also made some other changes, especially for the interior with the Porsche Communications Management System, the PCM unit. They added things like Bluetooth. Can you believe it? It took until 2009 for Porsche to add Bluetooth into their cars. So these cars were popular, of course, and then they brought out a new model called the 991. And what they did with that car was they made it considerably bigger. They stretched the wheelbase by a full 10 centimeters. That's a much longer wheelbase. They made the car bigger overall. And then when they brought out the new 992, the current car that just came out about a year or so ago, they made it bigger again. The wheelbase isn't bigger, but it's got a wider track. So these cars have gotten bigger over the last 2 generations. So the enthusiasts, the people that want to find the sweet spot in the marketplace, have honed in on this car as the last of the smaller 911s, because the one that came after got bigger and the current one is bigger again. This is the sweet spot. You get the direct injection engine, you get much more reliability, you still get a manual transmission in many of the models, and it's just the right size. So it feels like a small little sports car, like a 911 always should have felt. And a lot of people believe that these newer cars, they're wonderful, they're fast, they do everything really well, they just don't have the same tight little feeling as this car or the cars that came before it. So I was speaking to the owner of Core Motor Cars, and I said, what's the advice for anybody that's looking for one of these cars if you want a manual transmission? And he said, keep your powder dry, and when you see the right example and the car that you want, don't wait on it, buy it, because the market is moving quickly. The prices of these have gone up from 10 to 20% depending on the mileage, the condition, whether it's a C2, a C2S, or a C4S. The market is basically snapping these cars up, and you should too if you want one. Once again, thanks to Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver for letting me have this 997.2, a really interesting story. It's interesting to watch how enthusiasts pick winners and losers when it comes to collectible cars, and these certainly now have been sought after. If you're looking for a manual transmission 997.2, the best advice from the owner of Core Motor Cars is jump on it. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. We're trying to do one of these a week, so check back often, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.